All right, Rangers, buckle up. We've got the shocking price tag to sack Philippe Clement. You'll want to sit down for that one, plus a young Scottish star who's being compared to Reo Hatate. Is he the answer, or are we setting ourselves up for disappointment? Oh, and it gets spicier. Johnny Evans to Rangers. Was it ever a serious option or just a bad idea waiting to happen? Emmanuel Dennis, the Nottingham Forest forward, was apparently keen on a move to Rangers, so why didn't it happen, and should we give him a second look? And finally, the Hjalmar Ekdal saga. Just when we thought he might be on his way, there's been a big twist. Stick with me, because by the end of this, you'll have plenty to say down the pub, and maybe a few opinions to fire off in the comments. £7.5 million to sack a manager. You read that right. That's the eye-watering price tag hanging over Rangers if they decide to give Philippe Clement his marching orders. Ross McCormack's done the sums, and if we're to believe him, the board are trapped between a rock and a check they don't want to write. Sitting 15 points behind that lot across the city isn't just disappointing, it's downright embarrassing. And let's not forget, we managed to beat Celtic 3-0 at Rangers, but what's the point if we can't keep the momentum going? It's like winning a scratch card but losing the ticket before you cash it in. The real kicker? This long-term contract nonsense. Who on earth thought it was a good idea to hand Clement a 3-year deal? It's like paying for a holiday before checking if the resort's even built. If the board had played it smart and given him something shorter, they wouldn't be staring at this monumental payout. And now there's talk of Belgium swooping in to nick him for their national team job. Honestly, if they want to save us the hassle, I'd be the first to pack his suitcase. But here's the thing, is Clement the entire problem? Sure, his performance has been a letdown, but we've seen cracks in this club's decision-making for years. It's all well and good to blame the manager, but the board's been fumbling the ball too. So here's one to stir the pot. If Belgium come calling for Clement, should Rangers let him go for free, or is it time the board showed some backbone and fixed the mess they made? Lyle Cameron, eh? The young Dundee lad's name's been thrown about as the next big thing Rangers might snap up. At 22, with his contract ticking down and whispers of a pre-contract deal, it's looking more likely than a rainy day in Glasgow, but the real buzz is folk comparing him to Reo Hatate. Now, I don't know about you, but that's a hefty claim to be tossing about. The numbers are solid, 8 goals and 7 assists in 27 matches, but numbers alone don't make a player Rangers material, do they? And while Cameron's been strutting his stuff at Dens Park, stepping up to the pressure at Rangers is a whole different beast. It's one thing pulling the strings at Dundee, it's another doing it in front of 50,000 expectant fans at Rangers. The lad's got the right profile, young, creative, and importantly, Scottish. We've been crying out for more homegrown talent for years. I mean, how many times have we missed out on players like Aaron Hickey or Lewis Ferguson? Bringing in Cameron might feel like the board finally waking up to reality. But is he the answer, or just another low-risk punt to fill a quota and avoid more stick in the papers? Clement seems to like him, even going as far as name-dropping him before the Dundee match. That's a sign, surely. But if we're being honest, this is about more than just Cameron. It's about Rangers finally getting recruitment right. Is signing Lyle Cameron a smart move to secure the future of Rangers midfield, or is it just papering over the cracks after years of ignoring better Scottish talent? Johnny Evans to Rangers? It's a no-go, and rightly so. At 37, the lad's got more miles on him than a second-hand motor from the Barras. Sure, he's got experience coming out of his ears, but experience alone doesn't patch the holes in a defense that needs pace, agility, and stamina. Rangers don't need a stopgap, they need a cornerstone. Dr. Rajpal Bra's take on Evans passing a medical doesn't exactly fill you with confidence either. It's less about fitness and more about ramping him up. Whatever that means, sounds like a polite way of saying he'd need bubble wrap and an injury-free miracle to survive a full season in the Scottish Premiership. And let's face it, Evans hasn't exactly been setting the world alight at Manchester United this season. Now, credit where it's due, Clements called this one right. Bringing in a player like Evans would have screamed of desperation, and that's the last thing Rangers need right now. It's about building a squad that's future-proof, not cobbling together a backline that could snap like an old elastic band. Was turning down Johnny Evans a missed opportunity to bring in much-needed experience? Or are Rangers finally learning to stop living in the past? Emmanuel Dennis. Remember his name popping up last January? The Nigerian forward seemed interested in a Rangers move back then, but he ended up at Watford instead. Now he's kicking his heels at Nottingham Forest out of favour and apparently up for grabs. Forest are open to offers, whether it's a loan or a permanent deal. But the lad's not exactly hit the heights since his standout Premier League season with Watford. 10 goals and 6 assists that year seem a distant memory now. Could he have been the answer to Rangers' problems last season? Maybe. Goals dried up quicker than a summer pint at the Loudon, and his versatility might have been handy, but fast forward to now, and Dennis feels more like a what could have been than a must-have signing. Sure, he's got talent, but if he's struggling to get a game at Forest, what does that tell you about his current form? On the other hand, Rabbi Matondo's departure could free up some funds and a spot in the squad. The Welshman's shown flashes of brilliance, but injuries and inconsistency have been his undoing. If Serie A come calling and we can shift his wages off the books, Dennis might be worth a punt. A short-term loan wouldn't be the worst idea, especially if Clements struggling to find reliable depth outside his starting 11. Should Rangers take a gamble on Emmanuel Dennis to solve their attacking woes, or is he just another name on a list of nearly men who'd flop at Rangers? So, Hjalmar Ekdal's off the table, eh? Another defender linked with Rangers bites the dust. It seems the board have decided to look elsewhere instead of bringing in the Burnley man on loan. Fair enough. But it does make you wonder if they've got anyone else lined up, or if it's just another case of spinning plates and hoping none of them come crashing down. We're in desperate need of defensive reinforcements. Half the backlines on the injury list. Tavernier, Sterling, Sutar, Balogun, Casanwira-Joe. The physio room must be busier than the Loudon on Derby Day. Yet here we are with no sign of help coming through the doors at Rangers. 15 points adrift of Celtic is bad enough, but if Clements to have any chance of salvaging this season, the board need to step up. They've publicly backed him, but talk's cheap, isn't it? Backing means splashing the cash or at least securing some decent loans, and right now, it feels like we're just dithering. Here's one to get the blood boiling. Are the Rangers board too cautious in the transfer market? Or are they right to avoid panic buys like Ekdal and wait for the perfect fit? If you haven't seen yesterday's video yet, you're missing out. Explosive news about Rangers that'll leave every fan stunned. Go check it out now.